once again, back to Exploring Arda, a Tolkien-centered podcast where I'm your host, Jackson, and I'll be going through a bunch of Tolkien's works other than Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit. And yeah, like basically what I've said during this whole series is that, this is as close to Lord of the Rings as possible as we can get because I'm reading through The Adventures of Tom Bombadil, and I'll be reading through Tales of the Perilous Realm here, so that's basically where I'm getting the source from. The last few have been shorter. This time in the episode, it'll be like a bunch of the short ones, and they're very short poems, I guess you could say, about various topics. So this episode's kind of all about that, and I don't know, it's just more fun times ahead. But that's basically what I'll be doing for this episode, and I think I'm just going to go right into it, because they are all about different various topics. So, this first one is called The Mewlips. So, here we go. The shadows where the Mewlips dwell are dark and wet as ink, and slow and softly rings their bell, as in the slime you sink. You sink into the slime, who dared to knock upon their door, while down the grinning gargoyles stare, and noisome waters pour. Beside the rotting river strand, the drooping willows weep, and gloomily the gore-crows stand, croaking in their sleep. Over the Murloc mountains, a long and weary way, in a moldy valley where the trees are gray, by a dark pool's borders without wind or tide, moonless and sunless, the Mewlips hide. The cellars where the Mewlips sit are deep and dank and cold, with single sickly candle lit, and there they count their gold. Their walls are wet, their ceilings drip, their feet upon the floor go softly with a squish, flap, flip, as they sidle to the door. They peep out slyly through a crack, their feeling fingers creep, and when they've finished, in a sack your bones they take to keep. Beyond the Murloc mountains, a long and lonely road, through the spider shadows and the marsh of toad, and through the wood of hanging trees and the gallows weed, you go to find the Mewlips, and the Mewlips feed. So, like I said, very short. Most of these are going to be very, very short. This one, I don't remember when I first remembered hearing about the Mewlips, but I thought they were definitely a creepy creature, which makes sense. Basically, they live in this like swampy, forested spot, and they kind of reminded me of goblins in a way, but maybe just a different like breed of goblins. I'm not sure how to really explain it, but these Mewlips basically wait for victims to come into their territory, and they snatch them away, eat them, and then leave the bones to do whatever. I don't know. Maybe they just collect them just to keep, because basically they've said when they've finished in a sack, your bones they take to keep. So they carry around these bags of bones, which is very intimidating. So like if you go to this, in the Marsh of Toad, and it's not like the Toad Toad, this one is Tode. So basically their own marsh they named Toad, but spelled it different, which is very cool. I really enjoyed that. I mean, I think this whole setting could be its own like short story adventure, and it sounds so fun. I mean, it says like through the spider shadows in the Marsh of Toad, so, and there's hanging trees and willow trees, and it's all like moldy valley where the trees are gray. It's very doomy and gloomy. Like I said, this could totally be its own like short story. So I mean, hey, if one of you guys want to make a short story out of something very creepy but also intriguing, this is definitely like, you could definitely take some inspiration from this. It'd be very fun. I might even do that myself. A little inspiration. But yeah, that's kind of like what I had for this one called The Mewlips. Definitely interesting, and I really enjoy rereading that. So, okay, so this next one is called Oliphaunt. Gray as a mouse, big as a house, nose like a snake, I make the earth shake. As I tramp through the grass, trees crack as I pass. With horns in my mouth, I walk in the south, flapping big ears beyond count of years, I stump round and round, never lie on the ground, not even to die. Oliphaunt am I, biggest of all, huge, old, and tall. If ever you'd meet me, you wouldn't forget me. If you never do, you won't think I'm true. But old Oliphaunt am I, and I never lie. Yeah, and that's it. So that's very, very short. These rest of these are very short. I don't know if you guys can see it, but there is a really big illustration of an Oliphaunt here. Basically, it's just a humongous elephant, if you really think about it. But yeah, I guess like humongous creatures in Middle-earth aren't too common, I would suppose. I mean, maybe like not too common in the Third Age, which I'm guessing this is kind of like where it's set in because it's the Adventures of Tom Bombadil. But I guess, yeah, massive creatures you would definitely remember. And basically this one's just describing what an Oliphaunt looks like, how massive it is, trampling everything in its path, and that you would definitely not forget something that enormous. So that's very, I guess, obvious, but yeah, just a nice little simple description of an Oliphaunt for you guys. Yeah, so on to the next one here. I didn't have much to say for the last one because it was just kind of like a description, so. But yeah, this next one is called, well, let me see if I can pronounce it first. It is Fastitocalon. I'll say Fastitocalon because it's a very complicated name. So let's go into it. Look, there is Fastitocalon, an island good to look upon. Although 'tis rather bare, come leave the sea, and let us run, or dance, or lie down in the sun. See, gulls are sitting there. Beware, gulls do not sink. There they may sit, or strut, or brink. Their part it is to tip the wink, if anyone should dare upon that isle to settle, or only for a while to get relief from sickness or the wet, or maybe boil a kettle. Ah, foolish folk who land on him, and little fires proceed to trim, and hope perhaps for tea. It may be that his shell is thick, he seems to sleep, but he is quick, and floats now in the sea with guile, and when he hears their tapping feet, or faintly feels the sudden heat, with smile, he dives, and promptly turning upside down, he tips them off, and deep they drown, and lose their silly lives to their surprise. Be wise. There are many monsters in the sea, but none so perilous as he. Old horny Fastitocalon, whose mighty kindred all have gone, the last of the old turtlefish. So if to save your life you wish, then I advise, pay heed to sailors' ancient lore, set foot on no uncharted shore, or better still, your days at peace on Middle Earth, in mirth, fulfill. Yeah, that's it for that one. Yeah, this one kind of goes back to the sea creatures, sea monsters and stuff like that. You don't really hear too much about sea monsters in, Middle Earth just because it's all the stories are set on land, so I mean, I guess it makes sense. This one's definitely cool. I do like where was it? Then I advise, pay heed to sailors' ancient lore, set foot on no uncharted shore. Basically saying like, hey, all these sailors' tall tales, which, like all like pirates and sailors and all that stuff have their tall tales. It's like, no, you should probably just, listen to them just in case, because this guy, this Fastitocalon, it basically not even waits, he just kind of like slumbers for a while, wakes up, realizes that there's people on his back, because I guess he is the turtle fish, so basically he's kind of like a hybrid, I guess. But yeah, he basically shakes them off, tips them over into the ocean, and I guess they drown. It's just very like, oh, okay, I guess they just drown, deep they drown, and lose their silly lives, so, to their surprise. Definitely a surprise to be sure, and especially if they can't swim, which, why are you out in the ocean if you can't swim? But, yeah, sea monsters definitely are a dangerous and perilous thing, even if they are considered, peaceful. If you come across them and start climbing on them, that would make sense that they want sailors off. So, yeah, so that's it for that one. And I think I will do 2 more here. So, this next one actually literally just called Cat. That's all it is, just cat. So, let's read it. The fat cat on the mat. They may seem to dream of nice mice that suffice for him or cream, but he free maybe, walks in thought, unbowed, proud, where loud, roared and fought, his kin, lean and slim, or deep in den, in the east, feasted on beasts and tender men. The giant lion with iron, claw and paw, and huge ruthless tooth in gory jaw, the pard dark-starred, fleet upon feet, that oft soft from aloft, leaps on his meat, where woods loom and gloom. Far now they be, fierce and free, and tamed is he, but fat cat on the mat, kept as a pet, he does not forget. Lots of rhyming words on this one. I mean, really, just like the opening line of the fat cat on the mat. It's like, oh, it's going to be one of these types of poems. But it's very fun. I kind of like that. I do like this, basically, this household cat is dreaming of basically what he could be, like the giant lion with the claw and paw, like either the cat is dreaming about what he could be, or he just really wants to be exactly like a lion. So, but since he is a fat cat on a mat, he can't really do too much except to dream about it, which is kind of funny. But it does make sense where it's just like he's thinking about all the ancestors that he might have had, the cat ancestors and whatnot. How it basically came from like wild cats, and then now it's just a bunch of household cats, which is always very fun. But yeah, nice little rhymey session for that one. I definitely enjoy it. And yeah, I'll go into this last one here for the episode. There's still plenty more left to go through, but this one's called Shadow Bride, so it's pretty cool. So let's go into it. There was a man who dwelt alone, as day and night went past. He sat as still as carven stone, and yet no shadow cast. The white owls perched upon his head, beneath the winter moon. They wiped their beaks and thought him dead, under the stars of June. There came a lady, clad in grey, in the twilight shining. One moment she would stand and stay, her hairs with flowers entwining. He spoke as had he sprung of stone, and broke the spell that bound him. He clasped her fast, both flesh and bone, and wrapped her shadow round him. There never more she walks her ways, by sun or moon or star. She dwells below, where neither days nor any nights there are. But once a year, when caverns yawn, and hidden things awake, they dance together, then till dawn, and a single shadow make. So, this one's like a nice one, where it's definitely, his lore building definitely showcases, you can gather like a whole story out of literally, basically, only two small pages here of the Shadow Bride. I think basically this is kind of like my interpretation of it, is that this Shadow Bride, the woman here, the lady clad in gray, died some time ago, and I guess she has some sort of like curse on her that she can't come to the corporeal earth, I guess the material plane, only once a year. It says once a year when caverns yawn and hidden things awake. So basically like this one moment in time where spirits, I guess, can like drift over for a little bit. She gets to come over, and the man who dwelt alone basically waits for her in this specific time, this specific location, and all that stuff. And when she arrives as basically a ghost, this man gets to pretty much be with his beloved, I guess, for, I don't know, a night, or it's like, I think it's for a night, because they dance together then till dawn. So yeah, it's probably just basically that one night that they get to be together. But yeah, so that's kind of like what I had for this Shadow Bride. It's definitely one of the intriguing, this Shadow Bride and, the Mewlips, I think it was. Let me go back here. Yeah, Mewlips and Shadow Bride were definitely kind of more like that. I wouldn't say it's like a grimdark genre, obviously, but it's definitely more gloomy than some of the other ones. Very good description, I would say, because he's basically as still as stone, and even like the white owls perched upon his head beneath the winter moon. So he's just so infatuated with this lady that he will literally sit there and let nature cover him, basically, just like probably like snow and owls and all that stuff, which is crazy. But that's just how much love he has for this lady, which is very sweet. So it's kind of like that bittersweet thing where it's like he will wait for her for this one night, and then maybe after that he saunters off and goes to live alone again, because this is the man who dwells alone day and night. So, which is very sad, to say the least. But that is Shadow Bride, and I think that's kind of all I have for this episode. Like I said before, there are a few more episodes left, most likely. Not a lot, maybe a couple more, maybe one more, who knows. But I've had fun reading through this, all the poems that Tolkien has created. It's definitely not what my accustomed genre is, but I just wanted to try it out because Tolkien has a lot of poetry and a lot of songs made. So, but other than that, I would just say to check out my channel for further support. I would definitely appreciate it. I have lots of other stuff, a lot of projects, personal projects that I have on my channel. So it's, it varies from time to time, so check it out. Otherwise, with all my rambling and talking out of the way, just stay tuned for another episode, and may the light of Elbereth be with you all. Farewell.